Hello, my name is Angelika Krastina. I am a senior lecturer at Lapland University of Applied Sciences. And in this part, I will tell you about problem solution tree method for preliminary business idea development, a structured approach to identify and address key challenges. In this part, you will learn what is a problem solution tree method, how to use problem tree method for the problem analysis, how to use problem solution tree to define solutions that may become your startup business or project idea. First of all, we have to keep in mind that every startup project begins with the identification of a problem analysis, and finding solution to these problems. Problem tree method is about visual brainstorming tool. It is a mind map, a diagram that connects a problem to potential solutions. It helps us to understand the root causes and generate focused ideas based on the solutions. The method is based on the principle that problems are caused by underlying factors, and that by understanding these root causes, it is possible to develop effective solutions. These solutions can be turned into business ideas or social enterprises. And in general, it supports early stage business development by targeting specific challenges. The problems can be understood as opportunities. Problem as a term has many synonyms. Problem can be some kind of a need, it can be a gap in the market, or a challenge, or even a pain, some customer pain as we call it. So what are the benefits of problem solution tree method? It helps us to encourage critical thinking and deeper understanding of a problem, its real root causes. It provides clarity and directions for business idea development. It aligns solutions with the real life challenges, and it gathers diversity of perspectives and identifies alternative solutions. So you don't need or don't have to stick to one particular solutions. You need to explore alternative solutions, many of them. We have to remember that problem-solving process is not linear. So there can be many complex issues when we are starting analyzing the core problem. There will be a lot of root causes that we need to understand. And before we really define the solution, we need to do a thorough analysis. So why this methodology is called a problem tree? Because we actually are using tree as a metaphor, where the trunk of the tree is the problem that we define, and the roots are the root causes that we try to find out what is the cause of the problem. And the crown of the tree is about the fruits, or so to say, effects. And as we know, the roots define the fruits. Someone has said that if I had only 1 hour to save the world, I would spend 55 minutes defining the problem and 5 minutes finding the solution. So therefore, we pay big attention to problem analysis, understanding root causes of the problem. The tree is used as a metaphor for detailed problem and solution analysis. So it's a mind map, in other words. So the mind map is, as explored on this slide, defining primary causes, secondary causes, root causes, and the process itself follows certain steps. So we always begin with identifying the core problem and analyze the causes of the core problem. Then we continue with the step number 2 when we are defining the effects. So the problems have certain impact, and we need to understand what are these impacts. And then next step number 3 is to design a solution, or we call it solution tree. So therefore, we are using the problem tree in order to identify variety alternative solutions to existing problems. And only then, when we have a set of knowledge and information gathered together, we can begin with defining preliminary startup business idea. And so in the step number 1, we analyze the root causes, defining the core problem, define the primary causes, we define the secondary causes, and typically we go, this analysis goes at several levels. Let's have an example on how to craft the problem tree. Assuming that your core problem is a food waste. So we are placing this core problem in the middle of the tree. That is the trunk of the problem. Just imagine that on the top there is a crown of the tree with the fruits. And now our task is to analyze the root causes of the problem. So by asking the question why there exists this problem, typically we ask up to 5 times. We call it 5 times why exercise. And these are the root causes here. So why 5 times? So to have our analysis as deep as possible for us to better understand the actual problem. Thus, now we will define 5 primary causes of the core problem. So one could be, for instance, overproduction. So another primary cause could be, for example, overstocking. The third one could be, for example, food disposal by the households. And so you will continue with the fourth why on primary cause definition and fifth. So you are going to have 5 branches of the primary causes. So now on our tree we have identified 5 primary causes for the main core problem, that it was food waste in our case. As an example, what would be the next step? Next step would be to analyze the secondary causes. And you do that the same way as you did with the primary causes. Again, you ask the question why there exists the particular problem. Thus, secondary cause is analysis of primary causes. And so you do it for each of the primary causes by asking the same question. And typically we go to the next level, analyzing the root causes of the problem. So then it means that for each of the secondary causes, you can continue with the analysis of the root causes. So thus we work 5 levels horizontally, typically, and 3 levels vertically. How deep do we go and how far do we go with this analysis? So typically we say that the better analysis you do, the better results you are going to have and the better solutions you are going to have. So this will be the kind of rather developed a mind map that will help you to visualize existing problems, and maybe it will help you also to lift those or identify those problems that you haven't thought of, and that will help you also to define later on your solutions to each of these problems and to find a business idea based on these solutions. Second step is to analyze the impacts or effects of the problem. So you define the main direct consequences of the core problem, and immediate consequences of the problem are typically written above the problem, so that the crown of the tree is about the impacts. As we say, the roots define the fruits. And step number 3 will be the solution objective tree, as we call it. Thus, every problem gets a solution, or you identify solution for every problem. In a way, we say that solution tree is mirroring all the problems as solutions. The negative problem statements are reformulated into positive statements, and they become our solutions. Assuming that your central starting problem was food waste, you can reformulate it as reduced food waste. And so in the trunk or the central part of the tree, where we had core problem, now you have a core solution. And all these negative statements in the boxes that you had in your mind map are turned into positive statements and thus become the solutions to the problem. And next final step, number 4, is to define your preliminary startup idea. So again, based on this information that you have gathered together during the brainstorming sessions with your colleagues, with your partners, with your friends, so you define this idea based on objective solution tree. You have different solutions, you have different alternatives, how to deal with the problems. You select particular branch that you consider as the most suitable solution in the existing situation, and this branch becomes a foundation for your potential startup project. Now, as you have created the problem tree and solution tree, so how to use this entire knowledge in order to create a business idea? So for that, we could use so-called a business idea development matrix. Thus, assuming that you decide to deal with particular branch of the problems and solutions, it turns into business ideas. So it can be several ideas, one idea, second idea, and third idea, based on the branch that you are analyzing and further discussing. You begin always with defining or reminding yourself what was the particular problem that you are dealing with. That's a definition of the problem. According to our tree, one of those was household waste. What was the solution? What could be the solution? For example, repurposing leftovers, create some kind of creative cooking approach and share that with people. Then when it comes to the business idea, what kind of idea we could create based on this information and this analysis? Maybe you can create an app where people can subscribe and they can learn different kind of creative cooking recipes and so on, repurposing, for example, the household waste when they are over purchasing food, for example, at home. So typically we suggest to have several ideas, not to stick with one idea, and different perspectives of particular problem, and different ideas will come based on the problem analysis and solution tree analysis. So therefore we suggest that you continue at least 3 times developing different alternative solutions and alternative ideas. And next step for you will be then to rate the most feasible ideas, the most profitable, and also the most sustainable business idea. So completing this template, the final result will be that you will have good, substantial, well-analyzed, well-defined, well-justified potential initial business idea. Here are some examples of the process. As you can see, the problem tree is rather detailed. There is lots of different branches. This case is for the topic on waste management, also general waste related issues. And you can take a look on these examples to understand how detailed really this analysis can be. As you look on the problem tree, you can see also the solution tree that, as it was mentioned, is a reformulation of negative statements into positive statements. And then next step, we are using this framework to define business idea, using the particular branch on the tree as explained, and creating different solutions and at least 3 business proposals. So we recommend that you create at least 3 different business ideas, proposals to start with, in order for us to brainstorm and then prioritize the best idea. So you will be selecting business idea based on feasibility, based on profitability, and the question is, are people willing to and prepared to pay for your solution? What do you think? And then you have total score, and it helps you to define the winning idea. As you can see, for the waste management project, in this case, the group of innovative students have decided that the winning idea is recycled outdoor furniture, and that is further developed into business model canvas and using all other tools for innovation, ideation, and business planning. But at the end of this process, you will formulate the business idea in a really short sentence, pitching it in a clear way, explaining what is exactly your business idea. As you can see, you have done substantial work in order to complete everything and finalize everything with one specific phrase, statement explaining what your business idea is all about. And that is just the beginning of the whole process, because you are using this first preliminary business idea for further development in the entire process of this course. Thank you.